this month specifically, we are going to be talking about people that have made it from the underground to the regulated market. And that looks like a crazy path for a lot of different people, and the stories and ways that they got there and to where they're at now is really exciting. So we're happy to get into this. Lulu, before we get started, just how you doing? How's your day going? How was your week?
It's pretty good. I'm excited also to to bring back Dope People. Dope People is our On the Revel series where we really want to focus the amazing people that we've met throughout our cannabis journey. Really excited to welcome back Peter, our chief know everything officer. Peter took a break when we are doing our in the community series of education, but welcome back, Peter. What bits do you have for us today?
Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be back, especially since I can say with enthusiasm and sweat and tears, and New York has officially legalized cannabis. Weed, marijuana, bud, sour, whatever you call it in these streets. It is coming to us in a legal manner. And to cover the news on that really quick, we won a lot of major things that people, including myself, didn't think we would get. And it is profound, and it is gonna definitely shape the nation as we move forward. Some of the things that a lot of people who fought for, including us and those of you in the audience fought for, were things like automatic expungement. We got that. Of course, this is for nonviolent offenses only, but cannabis associated nonviolent offenses. You still have individuals with trumped up charges like distribution to sell and things like that, which won't be released or anything, but it is automatic expungement of people with those records, which is a great thing. Finally, we have individuals, people, we can all go outside and smoke in the streets anywhere where there's not a sign that says do not smoke. Unfortunately, we cannot smoke in parks. That used to be like the hideout place, but now there might be some enforcement on smoking in parks as according to New York state law, we're not allowed to smoke in parks, but you are allowed to smoke freely on your stoop or in streets. Anywhere where cigarette smoking is allowed, you can smoke on having the weed. You are legally to have up to 3 ounces on you in person. This is not the case if it's packaged with distribution to sell, but you can have up to 5 pounds in your residency, totally legal. And it is legal to gift cannabis. So I'm not a lawyer, but if you were to gift cannabis and you had it on you, you can potentially talk your way out of something. I have the NYPD memo right here, and it seems they are fully aware of these rules. I have some friends who have been bold and tried smoking in front of Penn Station and cops and things of that nature, and they were okay. So some other tidbits, we were able to get medical expanded. They will be having flower finally. They'll also be expanding the number of indications and qualifications for accessing medical marijuana. It will take, a lot of people are fuzzy on the timeline. It will take a year to a year and a half before we actually have a retail facility where you can purchase legal cannabis in New York. But in the meantime, you can pursue a medical card. So I could recommend you to do that. Another huge win in my eyes was the go for cannabis delivery and cannabis consumption lounges. Usually it's not the case where cannabis consumption lounges will be allowed before. In most places, it takes a couple of years before cannabis consumption lounges are legal. And so we got a big win with having those be legal in a specific license type up front. In addition, delivery is legal or will be a specific license type, which is a huge win. As we all know, most of us probably get our weed through delivery. So a lot of these legacy operators will have the opportunity to switch to these licensees. That's something we want to help with. So that was just a quick overview of some of the things that we were able to get in New York State. This is a huge win. We'll be producing a lot more content towards this end on helping everyone in New York, all the New Yorkers and tri-state area folk understand these rules and regulations as they come about. Of course, another big one was that I keep getting questions about is growing plants. Once the regulatory commission is confirmed and established, they will rule out regulations on an individual growing plants in their home, which as of now, the regulations are up to 6 plants per adult and up to 12 plants per household. So any growers in the audience, feel free to hit us up. Let's make some content together. Finally, I want to give 3 calls of action. 1, I want you to celebrate by hitting the bell, the notification bell, and subscribing to the channel. 2, I want you guys to hit up a community board meeting, how these laws get interpreted, whether, because localities and counties can opt out. So we still have fights on the local level all throughout upstate and in certain districts in the city. So go to your community board. It's now easier more than ever. You can check out our previous episodes with Miriam and Saki to get more information, but just quickly Google community board in your zip code, attend a meeting. It's all virtual. It's super easy now more than ever. Put it in your calendar and attend. That's the second call to action. And then finally, I want everyone to talk to their friends. We've all had a smoke session where we've talked about becoming marijuana millionaires and growing our own dispensaries and such. And now's the time to organize. We have a 1.5 years before regulations and licensees and applications and all the more stringent business stuff gets started. So now's the time to actually talk to that friend and put together a business plan, learn things. Our YouTube channel is full of gems and perspectives, and we are resources for you, so feel free to reach out. And with that, I'll wrap. Thank you guys. This is a momentous day. I didn't think it would come this year, or I don't know when I thought it would come, but I've been hoping for this for 3 years and it's finally here. We got a lot more work to do, and let's do it together.
For sure. Well, thank you, Peter. It's good to have you back, giving us the download of what's going on. I'm excited about the MRTA. I know we've talked about it probably on 4 or 5 episodes over the years. And this year it finally passed. So stoked for that. And I know that our audience is mixed with people that have already been existing in the markets, people that want to invest, but also people that have been operating and basically an industry. I'll just say you don't pay taxes. And we want to make sure that all of you guys get in the game if you're interested. So on that note, I want to introduce our guest today, Chris Ball. I had the honor of meeting him at a flower hire event. Chris is the CEO and founder of Ball Family Farms. Chris, if you could turn your video on for us, please. What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's cracking, my guy? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, the pleasure is ours, man. The pleasure is ours. Where are you at right now? Is this the office?
This is the office in my house. So this is my home office. I got a little home dungeon at the crib.
All right, cool. Yeah, man, excited to get into it. When I met you, what was that, like 2 months ago? We were on the clock. I think we had like 15 minutes to talk. Yep. And we had Vlad, shout out to Happy Monkey. So we really didn't get into the weeds. We just kind of hit that top level. Yep. I'm excited to really just like really get into this and learn a little bit more about who you are, how this all got going. So just off the top, I mean, who are you? How'd you get into this? Where are you from?
Yeah, so my name is Chris Ball, as you said, and I am the CEO and founder of Ball Family Farms. We are the first vertically integrated social equity company here in Los Angeles. We have the biggest footprint out of all social equity applicants with 100,000 square feet. And, it's a family-owned business. I run it, with my brother, my cousin, a couple other family members that work for the company. And I am a trap guy, a trap convicted drug felon, turned legit, so to speak. I got my start in cannabis when I was 16 is when I got my first ounce of weed, actually, and I got it from my cousin Earl. My cousin Earl was a neighborhood weed man at the time. And cousin Earl, shot me an ounce. Cousin Earl was always pretty fresh, always had fresh white t-shirts, always had fresh Jordans, jewelry, shit like that. And I idolized him a little bit, growing up in the inner city. There's only a couple ways we know to make it out. And it's either, you're going to be a sports athlete, you're going to be some sort of entertainer, or you're going to be a drug dealer. It's going to be one of those three. That's, that's kind of how I grew up. So cousin Earl was pushing weed and he gave me my first ounce, and I tried to get down. And at 16, I wasn't very good. I was mainly focused on sports and girls at 16. And so when I got the weed in my hand, I wanted to kind of be like cuz, but it just didn't really work out. I probably sold like half of it and gave the other half of it away. Tried to smoke some, wasn't really for me, got super paranoid and shit. Had to have my mom come get me from school. That's a whole nother story. But so, I kind of put it down. At that point, I said, maybe this is not for me. And then once I graduated from high school, my parents told me that they couldn't afford to send me to college, so, my dad gave me the old pep talk: you're either going to work, or you're going to go to school. So I wasn't ready to go out and get a job yet at that point. So I decided to move out. I moved in with a friend of mine and went to junior college. And so when I got to junior college, I called my cousin Earl back. And I said, look, let's run this again. Let's try this again. Obviously, this was, 2 years later. And I had matured a little bit. And I knew if I couldn't put myself through school and get some money in my pocket, I wasn't going to be able to continue to play football and make it to college and try to make it to the NFL, because those were my aspirations. My aspirations were to be a pro football player. So cousin Earl ran it back this time. But this time, I took it a lot more serious and I made it work. And so for 2 years in junior college, it's how I paid my tuition. I was selling weed out my backpack to put food in my stomach, gas in my car, shoes on my feet, pay for my books, things like that, until I eventually got my football scholarship to Berkeley in 1997. Ooh, I just aged myself. 98, yeah. So I'm 43. So once I got my football scholarship to Berkeley, I put it down. I had been doing it and I felt like, I got a scholarship now. I don't have to pay for anything. I'm actually getting paid to go to school. I'm going to, graduate from college and I'm going to go play in the NFL and live life happily ever after. Well, that didn't happen. Okay. So did get to graduate from college, spend a little time with the 49ers, then went over, they sent me over to NFL Europe, where I played in Berlin, Germany for a year, came back home, signed a 3-year deal in the CFL in Canada. And when I got to Canada, this is where I got bit, by the cultivation bug of growing. Before then, I was just a trapper. I got the weed from cousin Earl, broke it down, sold it, made my money. Now is the first time I ever saw cannabis, from seed to harvest, and when I saw this process, I just fell in love with the process of it. I never knew how weed actually became weed. So when I was able to see it, go from a little bitty seed, pop to a clone, pop to, mother plant and then veg and then bloom, I was immersed and completely amazed by the process. So in Canada, how I would supplement my income in Canada, Canada weed was very, very cheap. I was in Vancouver, in British Columbia. And it's very, very cheap there. And how we would supplement our income is during the off season, we would load up our cars and pop the border, over in Bellingham. So I would take my football money, buy pounds of weed, put them in my trunk, hit the border, use my football credentials, and drive 16 hours all the way down to LA, and bring it to my spots. So I became very, very popular during this time, to where once I stopped playing, I was making so much money doing that eventually I was just like, I don't even really need to play football anymore. After my 3rd year, I was like, this is done. Like, I'm gonna just go trap in LA and, take care of my family.
How much would you bring across?
We would bring about 20, 30 pounds at a time, and we were paying, back then, thank God, statute of limitations. I could talk about this now, but thank God back then, I was picking up pounds for about $800, $800-900 in Canada, and getting them back down to LA and flipping them for about 3,500. So I was killing, bro. Like, we had a good little system going. It was working. Everything was dope. And so once I finished playing, came down to LA and started doing that full time, you know, my street cred and my stripes and my popularity grew very, very fast. I became known as the football player, you know, with the packs on the low. I was getting it so cheap, I was able to undercut the market. And I got so big that eventually I attracted the attention of the federal government. You know, I touched a couple guys I wasn't supposed to touch. Next thing you know, the feds is knocking at my door, and I get indicted in 2010. I got busted with 2,000. Well, they charged me with 2,000 pounds to conspiracy to distribute 2,000 pounds across the United States. So went in, you know, I was looking at a 10-year mandatory minimum on my case. Go figure, right? Nonviolent cannabis crimes, but you're looking at 10 years. This is back in 2010. And I pled out. You know, it was a whole the case was a lot bigger than what I knew. One of my guys was actually being investigated for a few years. He was working for a very, very prominent drug cartel family that I will not name at this point in time because I can't, but we'll leave that alone. And so I just pled out. You know, they offered me a deal to plead out. I pled out for 30 months, I signed my deal, went in, paid my debt to society, you know, and came out. Once I came out, you know, I had to get a job, you know, and going from a kid who never really had a regular job his whole life. You know, I think I worked at Sizzler in high school for a quick minute, you know, and quit that. I was a busboy, but, you know, I'd come out, I've been selling weed since I moved out of the house. I got a football scholarship. I went and played some pro football. So I never really had, you know, a regular job. So I got out, I was 32 years old when I came out.
What year was this?
This was in 2000 and what year did I come up? This is in 2010, 2010 or 11,
All right.
somewhere around there. All right. So I come out and my lawyer's like, you know, you got to get a job. You know, you're going to be on probation. You need to be working. You know, they're going to be watching you. So I went and got a job in the mall, worked at Abercrombie and Fitch, man with a degree, go work in the mall with 18, 19-year-olds in full t-shirts. Now, I'm an incredible folder. If you see the t-shirts in my drawers, you guys will flip your shit, right? Because I was doing that for a minute. But I was really unhappy, man. You know what I'm saying? I worked there for 2 years, and then I got headhunted by Nike. Nike brought me in to run the NFL department for them out of Las Vegas and Caesar's Palace. So then I did that, you know, for another 2 years. And then in 2014, man, I just wasn't happy. You know, the industry was just calling me back. So once I got off of probation, as soon as I got off probation, I went to court, got off probation. The next thing I did was I quit my situation over at Nike and went and bought a 14 light grow in Van Nuys, California. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me what I was smoking. This is just what I felt. I was just following my heart, right? My mom was upset. My family was upset. My friends were like, dude, you're out of your mind. Like, you just got done with all this. You're really going to go back to that? I said, this is what I love to do. This is just who I am. You know what I mean? Corporate America ain't for me. So I started growing on my own in 2014, and I was really fucking bad. I was really not good at it. Like, I don't even think the first year I made it through a complete harvest. I don't think I was just in there burning up plants and doing all kind of crazy shit in that grow. But I was learning, you know, each time I failed provided, you know, a learning curve for me, you know, until eventually after the first year, you know, I got through my first harvest. And then after that, I started getting really good at it. You know, I started kind of paying a little bit more attention and taking it a hell of a lot more serious. And in 2016, I started moving, you know, my product to the Prop D compliant shops. You know, a lot of my boys had dispensaries around LA. So I started moving work, you know, to them. And this is how I sustained myself until 2018. A partner of mine told me about the social equity license in Los Angeles, and Ball Family Farms was born, bro.
All right. I want to get into the farm, but before that, in 2016, when you were working like a 14 light little operation.
Yes.
How gray was that market? Like, was this legal weed? Was this you selling the medical? Like, what's going on?
So it was completely gray, bro. So I was growing. My boys had given me letters, you know, saying that I was providing, you know, product for patients at the shops. So that's pretty much what was happening. But there was no licensing. You know what I mean? I didn't have a license to grow. You know, it was more or less one of those recommendation things that you get from the doctor. You know, you go and you pay $90 and he gives you a recommendation and you can be a caregiver, you know? So I was really just doing that. you know, and I would ride around in my car, bro, with packs of weed and this letter, you know, from the doctor saying that, you know, I had a condition and that I was a caregiver for these patients at these co-ops. You know what I'm
And were you
saying?
making decent money? Like,
Like,
how was business?
yeah, business was great. Business was great. It wasn't like the Canada business. It wasn't like that, you know,
Yeah.
but it was good. It was good enough for me to keep the lights on, pay all the lights at the grow, and, you know, live in Hollywood in my own spot, and, you know, have a couple cars and, you know, shit like that.
Okay. So then 2018, shit got real across the state, really.
Correct.
And they really started to buckle down on this very gray area. Right. And some people didn't cross over properly. I know a
No.
lot of people that were like, nah, I've been doing this for years. They say this every year. It's all bullshit.
Yep.
And it didn't work out for them. So talk to me about this crossover. Where were you? Why were you pressured enough to like realize that you kind of had to change your methodology here?
So basically what happened was in 2018, mind you, I had already been moving, you know, the work to my boys' shops, right? And so all of my boys, you know, had kind of, when I think it's Prop 64, when it did go and it became rec here in LA, all of the homies kind of wanted to transition, right? We're kind of tired of looking over our shoulders, kind of tired of, you know, always wondering if a cop or, you know, the fire department is going to come kick down your door and you're going to lose your investment or whatever. So everyone kind of started taking it serious. So when I found out about that social equity license, I didn't think that I would be able to participate because of my felony. You know, I had already been convicted. So I'm like, oh, I'm out. So once the social equity license got brought to my attention, I went down to City Hall and sat in on a couple sessions when they were going to be talking about it. And sure enough, it was real. So I said, okay, if this is real, let me at least try, you know, to get a license. Because then if I get a license, I'm already connected with these shops anyway. You know what I'm saying? So now if I just get a legal license, now I can kind of create a family business. I can try to create some generational wealth. You know, my brain kind of had started ticking that way. Because before then, you know, my brother, people like that, they wouldn't really mess with me, you know what I'm saying? Because they're like, bro, you're just a wild card. Like, you don't care. Like, you don't care if they come knocking on your door, you go to jail. You got, you know, these big cojones, right? So I'm like, if I can do this right, and I can set something up to where I can hire, you know, my brother, my cousin, you know what I'm saying? I can actually do something. I can see my name on a jar. That would be awesome. So I just started going through the process, not thinking that it would ever come to me. Right. I knew that I think I had found out they were going to give like 100 licenses or 200 licenses. 100 of them were going to go to social equity applicants. Bro, there's like 10 million, 14 million people in California. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how many in Los Angeles, but I was like, what are the odds like that I would get one? But whatever. If you know, you can't win if you're not in the game, right? So we filled out all the paperwork, turned the paperwork in, and lo and behold, you know, we got an email saying that you got the license. You know?
All right. I want to break this down. I want to understand because I got people in the crowd here that want to take that chance. They want to take that shot you just did. So I want to understand this a bit more.
Yes.
Who is we? Where does your team come from? Like,
Okay.
How did you get people to work with you? And like, tell me some of the things you guys had to figure out for your application.
For sure. So we is me, my little brother, Charles Ball, who's the CFO of the company, my COO, Ebony Anderson, right? And how it happened was I went down to the city to try to apply for the licensing and all of that stuff. And I was trying to go down when we moved into our building, I went down there to try to pull a permit to get some power. Right. I needed to put some power into my new spot, and I was going to try to pull a permit. This is where I had planned on hanging this license. So I went down there, and I'd never been down to the city before and did any of this. Right. So me and my brother sat in there for 4 hours, bro. We literally were down at the city planning department for 4 hours, chasing our tails around, picking numbers, waiting an hour, talking to this person. Oh, you're in the wrong line. You need to go talk to them over there. Pick another number, wait another hour and a half. Oh, you need to go talk to this person over there, to where we literally got nothing done that day. So when I left out of frustration, I called my GC who had built my illegal grow, right? I called my general contractor who had built that for me. And I said, hey, I just was down here at the city for 4 hours trying to pull a permit for power. How do you do that? And he goes, what are you doing? And I go, well, I'm in the process of getting this license and I need to pull I need to pull a permit for power. He said, you need to call this woman named Ebony, right? So he linked me with Ebony. He had worked with Ebony building, she worked for the city. She was an urban planner for the city of Los Angeles. He was working with her when he would build hospitals and, do all these construction things. So I called Ebony and just told Ebony, I told her exactly who I was. I said, hey, listen, I'm a cannabis guy. I'm a grower. I'm a street guy. I'm trying to do something legal. Will you help me? And how much will it cost you to help me? And I just broke down my story. And I don't know, I guess I tugged on her heartstrings or whatever, because she was like, you know what? No one's ever called me and just laid it out for me like that. She was like, so what I'm going to do is let's have a meeting and I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to walk you how you go for permits. I'm going to walk you how you get with an engineer. I'm going to show you everything that you're going to need to do for this thing to be legal. And that's how that happened.
All right. So you got to have the construction understanding. You got to have the city planning understanding to try to get these things going. You got to have relationships. You got to tell your story,
Bro,
build followers.
So it's so much that, like my brother graduated from college as well. My brother comes from corporate America. So he's a square. That's why he's in charge of the money, right? He protects me from my traditional way of thinking, right? Ebony is in charge of compliance and operations. She comes from that. Eventually Ebony stopped working with the city and came in and signed on with Ball Family Farms full time. And I gave her equity in the company to come do that, And so we just kind of, with my knowledge of the cannabis industry and being, from that world, and my brother being from, corporate America, and Ebony being from, compliance and all of those things, we kind of formed Voltron. We kind of have this great little family because we lean on each other for certain things, and we kind of let each other do each other's job without stepping into somebody's lane. But before then, without her and without my brother, there'd be no way I'd be sitting here today, because she understood the verbiage from the city. My brother understood, money, numbers, paying this person. Let's do this. Let's get them on 30 days. These are all things that I never learned in the trap. In the trap, it's very easy. I just go rogue. We guerrilla style everything, right? Let's just put this up, get the weed, sell it, get my money, don't pay no taxes. This is how it is. So, you definitely got to have, for people who are out there who are listening, you definitely need to go get yourself a team and go get some people who, know what's going on when it comes to these licenses, when it comes to the city, when it comes to the ordinance, when it comes to contractors, architects, building permits, HVAC, everything. It's a whole lot that goes into doing this the right way.
So it's just the three of you guys that ended up writing like the actual application?
Yes.
So you guys figured out in advance like how you're going to stay compliant with the systems and, all of your real estate stuff. How did you figure out what to write in the application?
Ebony did that. Ebony figured out all of that stuff, right? Because when I read the information, I didn't even understand the verbiage. I didn't even understand the language that was in it, and I'm a Berkeley graduate, so I'm a man who can read and write, but the way that the way that it read and the way that it was set up, bro, it was almost like they didn't want you to figure this out, there was, I make the parallel all the time. When I got my football scholarship, right? If they had just admitted me to school and not given me a tutor, financial aid, money for my books, if I didn't have access to all these things to help me be successful and get onboarded into school, I would have flunked out. So with the social equity program and this licensing and stuff, it's like it gave us the license, but they gave no financial aid. They gave no mentorship, no tutelage, no nothing. It was just like, here you go. If you can do it, great. If you can't, well, at least we gave you the opportunity. And I kind of figured that out. Once I started reading over that stuff, I was like, this is above me. We're going to have to go get somebody who understands this. And Ebony did,
I like that analogy because we have not seen a social equity program work to date. And I almost wonder if sometimes we are overcomplicating it by calling it this thing, social equity, this large, expansive way to get people in. But that analogy, I think, is just so much easier. Look, we want people to succeed at this, right? So we're giving them the tools they need to be successful, to get to the finish line, to graduate college, or to have a thriving business. I love the analogy.
Absolutely. That's hugely
Okay.
important.
Talk to me about the money. How did you fund the business? Like, how much did it cost? Did it come from your, like, I know people are, they're looking at their bank accounts like, how am I going to get this shit started?
I'm gonna keep it 100. I had the money in my shoe boxes from saving up my money over the years, some hustling and trapping. And that's where the money came from. I remember when I took, yeah, it was all cash, bro. It was all cash. I remember when I had to take Ebony, we had to go down and pay for the licensing fees. It was $36,000. And I showed up with a backpack of $36,000 in 20s. And she looked at me and was like, what is this? And I'm like, what else is there? This is all I have. This is who I am, right? So, you know, the licensing fees were hella expensive. And then to build it out, it cost us about 1.5 to get Ball Family Farms up and going the correct way. And that all came from me.
Is this indoor?
Yeah.
And like, it's 100,000 square feet of canopy?
So no, so it's the building, the footprint is 100,000 square feet. We're only occupying 20,000 of the 100,000. So we're going in phases, right? So it took me 1.5 to build out 20,000 square feet. So we got 300 lights, 240 bloom and 60 veg.
Wow. And I know New York real estate ain't cheap.
No, it isn't.
Our people out there, just think about that. I'm sure you guys already got it on the horizon. All right, so you had cash. What about when you finally got plants in the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you sell it? I know that sounds trivial.
Yeah, no.
At the beginning, weed sold itself. But now
Correct.
all of a sudden you're competing with a whole bunch of other people.
Correct.
Right? The brand matters, sales channels matter.
100%.
How'd you sell these first couple pounds?
Yeah. So what happened was, so we lit up one room at a time. So we have 8 rooms of 30 lights. All right. We built one room and harvested that one room because we didn't have enough to do the entire thing at one time. You know, we had to get money, you know, sell it over here, then reinvest back into the company, you know, so we had to do that a couple of times. But basically what happened was once it went rec, right? And then the testing came out, like everything had to be tested and had to pass testing in the labs. A lot of brands fell off because they couldn't pass testing. So then the dispensaries had a shortage of product at the time that I was harvesting, right? So for me, it was pretty simple. I just went to the same guys that I had been selling to, you know, 2 years prior, and was like, now I'm completely legit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm passing testing, I'm compliant. They're like, perfect, because we ain't got no weed because nobody can pass testing. You know what I'm saying? So it just started happening like that. And then by the grace of God, bro, we found our Daniel LaRusso strain. My partner Ashton came in and brought in the Daniel LaRusso genetics. And once that hit, bro, it was just over. Like we couldn't grow enough of it. We still can't to this day. I'm expanding right now. We just expanded into another 20,000 square feet out of the 100. So now we'll be in 40. But yeah, man, that's pretty much how it happened for me.
Well, congrats. Hope to see it grow even more, of course. All right, I want to flip it a little bit. I want to understand a little bit about what are the differences in your day job today and what you do as a business versus the 2 other businesses that you had back in 2016 and then the one before 2010. Like, what's different about what you do?
Everything. So, you know, back then, you know, my day would consist of getting up, you know, going to the grow, being there when we harvest, you know, grabbing the weed, already having my clients set up for when the weed came down, taking them the product, getting my money. It was all done in a matter of 48 hours, you know, and then I was waiting, you know, another 4 to 5 weeks until the next harvest came down. Now, you know, and for the most part, my month was done. You know, I was chilling. I was going out, hanging out, buying clothes, just, you know, doing my thing. Now, you know, with a real live company, there's so much that's happening in the space on a regular basis, on a daily basis. Now I have, you know, over 30 employees, you know, that every day something's happening with one of them, you know. So I'm talking to HR, you know, I'm talking about this. I am we're constantly trying to innovate, at the facility and stay compliant, and with the compliance and everything, it's a moving target. All these rules and regulations change on the regular, because the city and the state are still trying to figure this whole thing out. So we have to, really stay up to date with our compliance and regulation stuff. With packaging, we're accounting for loss with packaging when it goes over to distro. There's just so many moving parts, paying taxes, we just got a bank account a couple weeks ago, right? But this whole time we've been a cash business. So we have to literally, go get cash, count the cash, hide the cash somewhere, make sure we're switching who's carrying the cash. I mean, it's a whole different ball game now, and I've never been a CEO before, so I'm still learning every single day. People may think that I got it all figured out because the brand looks good and, I'm at the forefront of social equity and everything, but I'm learning every single day, how to lead my team correctly, how to keep the success going of the company, how to, stay authentic, how to keep innovating. It's an everyday, job now. And I love it, but I love it though. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
That's what's up. Lulu, I think you got a question.
Yeah. So Chris, a lot of states are talking about social equity programs. Could you talk about some of the things that you think should be carried forward, and also some things that no one thought about that need to be considered for as they plan?
Yeah. So what I think definitely should be carried forward is that people who have been, disenfranchised or have been impacted by the war on drugs should absolutely be the first people in line to be able to participate in this business, right? So I think that should get pushed forward throughout every state. If you have been arrested, especially for marijuana, for, trafficking marijuana, distributing marijuana, and you got locked up and got time, you should be one of the first people to be considered, to get into this industry and be able to participate. Some of the things that they did not think about that they need to think about is making sure that these people have resources, okay? It's more than just giving them a license. That ain't gonna cut it. There needs to be some sort of program set up so that if you do give them a license, whether it's, some of these guys have to go out and they have to lease a spot, right? So the way it worked over here, we had to have the property already before they gave us the license. Right. So let's think about that. I need to go find a building or a landlord, pay money that I don't have to get a building, sign a lease and all that stuff before I even know if I'm going to get the license. Well, I know a lot of people that didn't get the license and now they're stuck in a lease with a landlord having to pay money. Right. I know people that that's been paying rent for a year, that got a license and been paying rent, in their facility for a year, but can't get to the next phase, in the licensing process so they can start growing or start operating because the city is understaffed and so backed up and they don't know what, they haven't gotten to their application yet. So all these things, these people are losing their businesses. They're bleeding money on a monthly basis, so there's a lot of intricate parts of the program that they didn't really consider, when they put it together. They didn't think it through. They didn't go talk to, guys like myself, or even now that I've gone through it for 2 years, the city is still not reaching out to guys who are, or some of us who have been successful and saying, how can we fix this? What will make this work? How do we bring these people in and give them an opportunity to participate in this business and ensure that they're going to be successful at it? Right. We could talk all day about, all the different programs that could be put in place. They could even give guys like myself a tax break to mentor or incubate another social equity applicant. Okay, Chris, since you're, mentoring or incubating this applicant, we're going to go ahead and cut your taxes in half for you or something, or just anything, you can get creative with this stuff. But those are the type of things that need to happen if social equity is really going to succeed across the United States.
Can you talk to me about how you compete you guys are pretty big compared to your 16 lights back in the day.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, compared to Acreage and Cresco, you're a small player.
Right.
Right. So you have to build a brand. You got to kind of do some unique strategies. Like, how do you compete being a small business in LA?
The one thing that will set you aside is the weed, right? The product. What has made Ball Family Farms who we are is the product. I'm sure everyone has seen, there's been a lot of brands that have come out that are very, very pretty. They got great packaging, they got great marketing, they got to spend all this money and doing all these things, and the brand doesn't take off. The reason why the brand is not taking off is because what's inside of the jar or the bag, right? It all starts there. This industry and this culture is built on the smoke, right? You need to find the quality product, whether that's getting your genetics from someone, whether that's tissue culturing, however you have to do it. People go out there. If you're trying to start a grow or you want to be in cultivation in the space, get you some people who really smoke weed, get you an R&D team who really know about cannabis. And as you start growing, you start letting them try it. And you say, hey, is this good? No, this one's not that good. I don't really like the taste. Okay, get you about 3 or 4 people. I have a team of 5. There's 5 of them that R&D all of our products. And unless I get a unanimous yes from all 5, it never sees the light of day. And I've gone through 1,000 strains to get to the 6 that I have right now, right? So it all starts there. And if you have quality product, it will sell itself, no matter what you call it. You could call it shit in a bag, right? And if it's really fire, and if it's bomb, them customers are gonna come back and be like, let me get that shit in the bag again. That one was hitting, right? But if you don't have that, it all starts there. You can't go do a big outdoor grow with 1,000 acres and put it in all this pretty packaging and use all this money and marketing dollars, because you'll get the one buy from the consumer, but if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, they're gonna put it down and they won't return, right? So it's like anything else. It's just like food. It's just like drinks. You eat a Sizzler steak or you eat a Mastro steak. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mastros or Boa, but you either gonna eat the Sizzler steak or you're gonna eat the Mastros, the Wagyu, right? Same thing in cannabis.
Okay, I have a direct question from the audience, and I don't know if you read these, but you were hitting it right there. You have your core 5, you got your people, the people you trust. I know who those people are in my life. These guys are chiefing all day. They wake up, they smoke. I don't know how they smoke this much, but they do it. They know every single thing. I actually had this friend, he could smoke a J and tell you all the terpenes in it, right? Those kind of people. You got those 5. I get that.
Yep.
But you also got customers, right? And they might have a slightly different perspective on what's important to them. So how do you get feedback from your customers?
Through Instagram, really. You know what I'm saying? We get DMs, or our Instagram stays on fire all day long with customers who are happy about the product, customers who are disappointed. Maybe they got a dry jar. Maybe, this batch of LaRusso wasn't as good as the last one, that they bought from the particular retail location. I mean, we've heard it all. So for us, we've chosen to be a brand for the weed connoisseur. Right. So even with the education piece, when we take our, into our stores, when our products goes into the stores, we actually have, meetings with the bud tenders and give them education on our products. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, LaRusso is very, very high potency. It's for the veteran smoker. It's not for the customer that comes in here and they want to try something for the first time. You may want to give them our bonsai for that. That's more of a light, it's more sativa, stuff like that. So it's all about, the education, and once you get, to a certain point to where we've gotten, now we are considered, a connoisseur's brand, designer weed. That's kind of what I've been hearing about us lately. And that's kind of where I want it to be. I've seen every type of cannabis, from outdoor to mixed light greenhouse, to growing in cocoa, to growing in Rockwell, to growing in soil. Like I've done it all, over the past, 20 years that I've been in the space. So that's how we've gotten our customers. And the ones that, want to shop at Louis Vuitton, they're going to come shop at Louis Vuitton. The ones that want to go to Target or Walmart, there's a customer base for that too. That's just not where our brand is. You know what I'm saying? We are the Louis Vuitton or the Chanel of cannabis, so to speak. So those are the customers that we look for. Okay,
for sure. So we got a couple more minutes. I got questions for days. I could ask a whole bunch. But I know I've had someone patiently waiting with their hand up. I'm gonna bring you on stage. Give me just a minute here. And just a reminder before I do, This is for questions. I want you to ask a question. All right. And I will cut you off.
Hugo.
Yo, what up, Jacoby? What up, brothers?
What's
How's
good,
everybody
bro?
doing today?
Good. How you doing, Hugo?
I'm good, brother. Just maintaining, can't complain. We alive, brother. I actually had a question for you, my guy. I wanted to know, since you're talking about, like, you know, the separation is made, right? How did you come to your head to make that separation? Like we get it. Like, everybody wants to be Louis Vuitton and Gucci and all of that stuff. But how did you come to the conclusion of being like, you know what? Let me just cater to this market and not this one, because a lot of us that are in brands and own brands are more catered to. We're in a neighborhood, right? Let's per se. So that Versace type of lifestyle is not for everybody. So
Right.
kind of what I'm asking is, how would you go about like maybe meeting in the middle? Like maybe something for them, Like how would that work? And have you even attempted to do something like that? And has it worked for you?
So great question. And I know exactly what you're talking about. Back, you know, and I'll give you just a little bit of a history so you understand that I know what you're talking about. Is I used to sell, you know, a lot of depths. You know, I used to sell Arizona AZ weed. You know, that's what I was, you know, very cheap stuff. You know, very just, you know, poor man's weed, pretty much. You know?
We know what that is.
Yeah. So it's like I was doing that. And what I found when I got into the legal space was that, you know, when you're taking care of a whole hood, it's one thing. But when you got people coming into the store and they're going to spend their dollars, and you may get a soccer mom, or you may get, you know, or you just may get a rapper that want to come in, buy his weed legally, and he going to get taxed 40%. So that eighth is going to cost him by the time he get out the store with it. I knew in my head, well, ain't nobody gonna come in from my industry or my culture and pay $60, $70, $80 for no light dep. It's just not gonna happen, right?
It's not gonna happen.
So I really had no choice. It was like, okay, if we're gonna compete in the retail location, we got to grow complete and utter fire. It has to be the best of the best, because I didn't have the room to go set up a mixed light greenhouse somewhere in Los Angeles, right? I'm in a building. I'm in a concrete building. I didn't have all that land and space. So because of where I chose to go, I was like, the best way for us to succeed in this is that we got to go top tier, right? We got to go complete and utter flight.
No questions asked.
Right. So now my team, now that we're here, my team, you know, we get hit up in a DM and people be like, man, like, I really want to buy your product. I hear such great things about it, but I can't afford it. It's too expensive. So my team has now been trying to develop something to where maybe we take our littles, you know, our smalls, and start selling our smalls, or create an off brand, you know, another brand called BFF instead of Ball Family Farms, which is a lower tier type of situation. But right, have, you know, any place to produce that. The only thing that I could produce would be my smalls, right?
Yeah.
My jars, they're not my bigs. So I could take those and, you know, sell those at a lower ticket so that it's affordable, or make them into pre-rolls, you know what I'm saying? And sell the pre-rolls for $12, $13 so that.
That's a great idea.
But you can come in and spend $15 and get a Ball Family Farms pre-roll of some Daniel LaRusso or something. So it's really just all about where you at, and you got to know your audience. You know what I'm saying? You know where you at, and you know what's moving.
All right. Thanks for that, bro. I appreciate that. And I also wanted to ask real quick before I get off here. You did mention something about, you know, like the state giving people like you that are ahead of the game, you know, maybe like a tax break to help young brands come up and incubate. I was wondering, do you know about anything that like young brands can actually like search out, like vigilantly, to be like, you know, we're a young brand, maybe you can help out with this or whatever. You know, when we got questions, I you know, I try to reach out to Jacoby or Lulu, but you know, they're busy guys. But we was asking, like, how will we go about, like, do you know any programs like that guys can just reach out to and, you know, learn more things and, you know, engulf themselves more in depth with what's going on, you know?
Are you talking about in LA or in New York? Where you at?
I'm in New York right now, brother.
Okay. I'm not sure how it's going to work in New York, but I know in Los Angeles, you know, there isn't a program set up for it yet, right? So that's what kind of what we all been kind of complaining about. But what can happen is that, like, I can take, let's say you were a brand out here in LA, right, and you didn't have a license. What I could do is I could allocate your brand, let's say 30 lights, one of my rooms in my facility, and be like, okay, we're going to put a strain in here for you, and I'm going to partner up with you, and we're going to do a collaboration, and I'm going to walk you through how this is going to work, right? And it may not be, something permanent, but let's just say we do like two
one-off.
some one-offs. And then that way I can kind of bring you in, you can kind of shadow, the whole entire operation, see how everything is going. Then we can Ball Family Farms can do this collab with what said brand or whatever, and kind of get you out there. And then after that, you would kind of pretty much be on your own. You know what I mean? Because I would be taken away from my brand to do that for you inside of my facility.
100%.
I would turn off the lights on one of my rooms to do it for you. But I would be willing to do that. You know what I'm saying? I've done it already. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to do it again for another collaboration.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna grab your information before we get out of here too, so I can email you. Jacoby is a friend. We have met with Jacoby, and I definitely would like to look more into that, to be honest.
For sure. Absolutely. No problem.
For sure. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you, Jacoby.
Of course, bro. Always a pleasure. I do want to just kind of make a comment about the way New York is structured for some people in our audience. There is a equity officer. It is a title that was built into the bill. There will be somebody whose full job will be to make sure that this industry is, I won't say equitable as possible, right? We know it's not going to be perfect, but New York is really like on the forefront of making this look legit. Now, in that bill as well, I believe, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, there is some talk about what is it? I don't want to say a boot camp, an incubation for social equity. We don't know what any of that looks like yet. It's not rolled out, but I guarantee that Lulu, myself, and Peter will have an ear to the ground for when those opportunities come up. And we will definitely be sharing that with you guys throughout the months as we start to learn more about this industry. And if we can share information, awesome. I will do my best to get you guys straight plugs into there if we can. We have a couple of great connections. We'll see what happens, but we want to make sure that people that do have ideas, brands, just innovations, things they want to bring to life, that's what we're about. We want to put you guys on as best we can, and there will be opportunity in New York. Let's see how that program rolls out.
Oh.
All right. I have another question in here. Oh, actually, we're actually about at time. I'm going to throw this question out because I got a feeling it's going to be a quick one for you, Chris. Okay. I won't go completely into the details of this. We could get into blockchain according to the question. I don't think that's necessarily appropriate for this, but I do want to understand how there might be other channels of like subscription services. Can people subscribe, or is there delivery platforms? Can you talk to me just a little bit about the tech that your operation might deal with so that people can get a taste of what to think about?
Yeah, so we actually are about to participate in a subscription box type situation, but it's through Chelsea Handler's situation. So she has like a subscription box, and she asked us to participate in her box. We haven't really set one up yet. My team has been talking about it. We have been talking about doing something like that. I'm not sure, just yet how I feel about that, just as a person that comes from, the culture. I don't know if, when my take on it is when somebody wants to smoke, they want to smoke now, right? I don't know people who would wait, and get a box once a month. Maybe they would, the industry's innovating, and, maybe that would be something, but, I'm still trying to figure out if that's something that we would do ourselves, As far as the delivery situation is concerned, we are getting our delivery license now. We're actually about to apply for it now. You have to have a separate building. So we just acquired the building, and we will be, setting up an app, to where our customers can download the Ball Family Farms app. Our menu will be on there, and then they'll be able to pick what they want. And we're going to have it try to show up within 20 or 30 minutes, to wherever they're at. So that's a huge, huge deal for us, because now we go from wholesaling to retail locations to direct to consumer, and, we're going to double our income. So that's a big, big deal for us, So that is something that we are actually working on right now. We obviously have to build an app, to get that going. So I've been in talks with a couple people who have run, illegal delivery illegal delivery services. Obviously you want to bring those people in and, and get them turned around and get them doing it the legal way. But, I'm going to have to lean on the expertise of the people who have been doing it for a second, and have some success at it.
Hey, Chris, I'm a UX designer. So when you want to talk about apps,
absolutely.
Let
See,
me know.
I'm talking about bugs. This is why this is good. Need that.
Yeah, I designed a delivery service for the Bay Area last year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
So we can talk,
let's
definitely.
definitely talk after this about that.
Lulu, I think you had one last question about the branding. You're on mute.
On mute.
So when I looked at all of your brands, I saw reference to one of my favorite movies from is it the 80s, The Last Dragon?
Yes.
Love that. Love that.
Miss Laura Charles and Mr. Bruce Leroy.
That's right.
So yeah, I get that question. I get people asking me about that a lot. And honestly, what I did was, I'm kind of an outlier. I'm kind of the guy that likes to go against the grain, And so when I came into the space, I just noticed everyone was, naming their strains, all these different foods and ice creams and things that you eat. And I was like, you know what? I want to be different. I don't want to name our strains, anything like that. So I'm a big movie buff. I watch a ton of movies. And, I decided that The Karate Kid was one of my favorite movies, and The Last Dragon growing up as a little kid. I love to do karate and breakdance, So when I got my first strain, I wanted to kind of figure out, how could I name my strain something that meant something to me? And Daniel LaRusso, was a kid, from New Jersey coming to, the Valley, and he was the underdog and he was picked on, and, he was just the underdog. And I felt like coming into the space as a social equity applicant and as an African-American cultivator, that I was the underdog, right? I felt like we had similarities. I was kind of going up against this big industry and this big monster. And how was I going to be successful? Kind of the same way he was going up against, Cobra Kai and 5 other dudes. And so, when I told people that I was going to name it that, a lot of people told me, you can't do that. That's not going to work. You're only marketing to yourself. You're not marketing to millennials. You're marketing to people who are your age and only. And I said, it doesn't fucking matter. The name of it doesn't matter. What matters is what's inside of it. And if what's inside of it is great, they will learn who Daniel LaRusso is. They will go figure it out for themselves. Well, who is this guy on the cover? And then it'll all make sense. And that's exactly what happened. And so now moving forward, all my strains are named after movie characters that inspire me. The Last Dragon was a huge movie, in my culture in the 80s, because it was the first time, I got to see a Black guy doing karate. Before then, I only saw Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris or whoever. Well, Bruce Leroy was the first Black guy doing karate on screen who looked like me. And that movie sat with me my entire life until this day. Shogun and everybody, so that's where the names and the branding comes from.
Well, we're in the same age bracket. And when I saw that, I was just super delighted. And I think those movies are classics. Anyone who sees them, whatever age they are, those were the things of our childhood. I think that were really new and interesting and innovative. So thank you for bringing them back.
Absolutely. And thank you for noticing. It was made for people just like you, to make you feel something when you saw it. So I did my job.
She was actually DMing us about this the entire time too. So you really got to her. All right. I got 2 questions to wrap up. One is an obvious question. I want to know what's on the horizon for you. What's going on with Ball Family Farms? Where can we find you? That kind of stuff. But before you answer that, you got a fax machine in the back. How much work does that fax machine get? Or is that a money counter?
That's a money counter.
All right. Bet.
That's
Put that thing to work.
Back money counter right there.
That gets a lot of work.
It gets a lot of work. You see it directly behind me. That thing goes. It gets miles on it.
All right. So what's on the horizon for you, bro? Oh,
go ahead, Lulu. What were you saying?
No, I always make fun of Jacoby's age because he's younger. So I said it was cute that he knows what a fax machine is.
Once he moved, I could tell it was a money counter.
Yeah, I don't use back. I do have a fax machine. It's over there though, but it's a printer and it does faxing and all kind of shit. But I don't use it.
I don't know how to fax.
Yeah, I don't do any of that stuff. But so what's on the horizon right now? We're actively pheno hunting, doing a collaboration with Monogram. So Ball Family Farms will be doing a collaboration with them and getting some fire product into their Monogram jars. Also got a collaboration on the horizon coming up with Nipsey Hussle's family, 2 strains called Crenshaw and Slauson. So we're actively pheno hunting for that. And then I just locked down a collaboration with Nick Cannon for a strain that he wants to do called Big Clouds. You know, Nick Cannon has lupus and he's been an avid cannabis smoker for his pain. So I'm going to be doing something with him as well. Besides that, we just finished shooting the pilot for our reality show, our docuseries. So Ball Family Farms, at the end of the year, you will probably see a Netflix docuseries, 10 episodes of just my family, how we move in the facility, how I got started, kind of tell the story, and then hopefully follow us, you know, for season after season on expansion to Oklahoma and stuff like that. So those are all the things happening with BFF right now, man, and just really just trying to stay out front, keep pushing social equity forward, keeping the cannabis culture authentic as possible, keeping it away from all these culture vultures that are trying to come into our space and water down our industry. And that's it. That's about it, man. Working hard, trying to save the world 1 pound of weed at a time, every day.
All right, bro. When I said what's on the horizon, I thought you were going to drop like one little thing. Like, bro, you've been working. I'm excited to see it. You guys heard it here first. It's an honor to have you, bro. We appreciate you sharing with our community, especially on the East Coast. We appreciate what you're doing just as a person of color, representing, getting these licenses and you know, really pushing the culture forward. And, you know, we wish you the best into the future. You know, very grateful. Where can we find you? Can you just send us the social?
Yeah, for sure. You can find us on IG at Ball Family Farms. You can find me at Chris Ball 45. And if you want to pick up some merch or anything like that, y'all can get it at www.ballfamilyfarms.com. Click the shop button and you win.
You heard it here. We appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
So Kobe, thanks for having me, man. It's good to see you again. Thanks for giving me a couple minutes to tell my story. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Lulu. Oscar, keep scratching. And I'll catch y'all next time, man. Peace.